Hi everyone, I'm Sanidhya. I'm co-founder of Dashtoon and I'm meeting Wenwen here for launching a new app which is called Dashreels, and we are getting into short drama with focus in India. We have already been doing comics and we're doing anime in a vertical format. So it's been good. It's my startup. It's been a 1.5 years journey till now, and we want to grow fast and grow big. And I'm in China to explore about short dramas and the ecosystem and bring all the learnings back to India and build this ecosystem in India.
We will have this interview. I will start from your career journey.
I'm from a middle class family in India, so we educate ourselves, find a good job. So I worked for the government of India initially in my career, and then I started doing my higher studies, which is a Master of Business Administration (MBA). I worked with a company called ITC, which is a tobacco conglomerate in India, and I worked in sales and marketing. I also worked with Royal Dutch Shell for a while. Then I joined a startup called Pocket FM, which was my first experience with entrepreneurship and startups. And this company was building audio OTT, very similar to Himalaya FM that you have in China. And we tried building very similar kind of ecosystem in India, and we were fairly successful. And after getting some initial success, we licensed a lot of IPs from China, and Chinese stories were doing like really good in India. You had to localize them, tune it for the Indian sensibilities, but the stories did really well. And then we launched this product in the US as well. Pocket FM is kind of a good success story in the United States with a lot of long form audio content. And I spent 4 to 5 years in this ecosystem, and I decided to build something of my own. So I started Dashtoon 2 years back, and Dashtoon is at an intersection of content and AI. So Dashtoon is a vertical comics app with a twist that all the comics on Dashtoons are made by AI, and it is made by creators who are excellent storytellers but might not be a very good comic artists. So we gave them tools. We gave them a tool called Dashtoon Studio where they could go and make their comics using AI. So they put their story in, they get the comic output, and they could very easily edit it, modify it, and publish it on the platform. So I wanted to build a company at an intersection of content and AI in production, and that is what Dashtoon is. We are going towards Dashreels, where we are going to fill our library with some content, with some live actions, but our ultimate goal is to enable making short drama content with AI. So that's the direction we are heading in.
What made you transfer a career from working in a big company then to start a new company?
I would say working in big company is something I took up to get financial stability, and I wanted to earn money and provide for myself, if not support my family. But after working for a couple of years, I realized I can do a lot more. And also I saw my friends. I was born in a generation where India as a country was doing good. There was a lot of startups coming up, people were getting successful. So I was like watching everything happening. So I thought, why not me? And let me try something. And I kept on trying for a couple of years. It's not a sudden thing, like you decide and then you find a company where you could join. So I started going to networking events, I started meeting friends, I made some new friends. And eventually, after a while, one of the friends that I made in this journey started their company called Pocket FM, and they called me in. And I might not be their first choice, but they were calling their friend circle and they were saying, who can join a startup and take that risk? Don't take a lot of salary, but get some equity and work very hard. And when they called me, I decided I cannot start on my own, and I've been trying, why not join somebody? And that was my entry into entrepreneurship. I also got married very recently before I wanted to join a startup. So I thought my wife is making good money and she can support the house. So let me try it out. And in hindsight, it looks like a great decision because there's never a good point in life where you really want to do entrepreneurship. It happens sometimes, and when you get a slight chance, just grab it. That was my first break into getting a hint of what entrepreneurship is, doing it all by yourself. And it had a lot of ups and downs, but it was a great journey.
Can you share more about what did you learn from this journey?
Before joining a startup, I was a regional manager, so I had a very big team. I had good budgets, and the business was profitable, so you don't have that kind of stress. When I joined startup, I was more like an individual contributor, so I don't have a team. I have to do everything myself. I don't even have like a finance person to ask basic problems, to understand taxation, to understand how to do business. I don't have a legal person to do anything. Even the founders are very young. I mean, they are just out of college and with little experience, and everybody is like trying to build this company. So it helped me understand how the world works. First thing, you need to understand when you have nothing, how do you start something? I went into content industry. I knew nothing about it. I was a consumer. Everybody is a content consumer. But how content is produced, who writes it, where does the scripts come from, how do you record it, what kind of money you need to pay to artists, how to manage creators. So I understood everything one step at a time, one by one. Like find a problem, understand it, figure it out, figure out the operations playbook, how to like do it at scale. And it took me a year to really grasp the industry, the new industry, and how like everything works. And then a couple of years were like, a few things are working. So how do you like really scale it? What kind of people you hire? And I had done some interviews myself for my own job, but I've never done like so many hiring. So I used to meet like so many people, and I was the first person in the content team. When I left the company, it has 1,500 plus people. Around 1,000 people in India and around 500 people internationally in US and Europe. So it was a huge learning curve for me. Like I was hiring people who were like 20, 30 years more experienced than me, who were reporting to me. But because I was present on day zero, I had that confidence. I could tell them what to do, and I could lay the strategy for the company. When I left Pocket, they were already doing hundreds of millions in revenue. So it was a very non-linear journey. I think if I was in a regular career, it would have gone step by step. In a startup, it's slow in the beginning, but then it's like a very spiky growth, and you have to like manage everything all at once. So I feel it's a great experience, and that gave me a confidence to like start my own company, because I thought like if I could do this once, now I have the confidence to do it again, and raise money and like build a business from scratch. So that's what I'm doing.
I want to dig a little bit more about when you joined the Pocket FM,
Yeah.
and you know nothing about content.
Yeah.
Now, how do you learn from scratch? Is there any method?
I don't think so. There is method, and I believe my first 3 months were very difficult. And when I joined, I thought I made a wrong choice because I don't know anything about it, and whatever I'm doing is not working. Then you look at products and understand them in deep. So I realized, the founder started Pocket FM. They heard about Shimalaya FM. They knew about Spotify. So they thought they can build a company, similar company in India. So why not understand those products in detail? Try to consume them. Try to talk to people in that company. So that is what I tried. I tried talking to companies who were doing this and reach out to people. And some will say no, some will say yes, and they will explain you. So I started connecting with people in the industry, not just audio industry. I started connecting with people in video industry, in like television, in like movies, and started asking them questions. And whosoever agreed, send some messages on LinkedIn, and somebody will respond, and they will say, I'm going to come on a 30 minutes call. So I go and ask them, and the more you talk and the more you reach out to people, the more you learn. So that was my way to grasp everything, learn as much as I can. I was in India, and I still contacted a lot of people in China and who were not even on LinkedIn, but I tried to find their email and mail them. Try to read about these companies, old articles. Sometimes in some old articles like this podcast, if I find a podcast with say Shimalaya founder, I could understand a lot. I could translate it and understand. So I tried to read a lot of stuff, that was available. I read about the public companies and how they are structured, like Channel Literature was a public company, and I read their IPO document. I tried to read how the company is structured, and this is how the operations are run. And then it's an open slate. You try to find knowledge as quickly as possible and then put into practice. That was a playbook.
When you start Dashtoon or Dashverse,
Yeah.
It's still from zero, right?
Yeah, it was from zero, and although I was pretty confident that I know a bit about content now, AI was completely new. And when we started, we had very less clue like how we will build this product, because AI itself is new, and then you want to build a product on top of it, and you have to like leverage so much of technology that is built by other people, right? So that was a very unknown path. So the only thing I could have done at that point is hire a good team. So I tried finding good engineers who can really understand what we are trying to build and be very open-minded about how to build, because these product doesn't exist anywhere in the world. There is no like website or an app where you can make comics from AI. So you have to think very first principles, right? Imagine this product and how it's going to look and what will people do, and then obviously whatever you build is crap. After a few iterations you start getting somewhere close when people use it, and they tell you what is working, what is not. So yeah, AI was new, and that's why it took us a lot of time actually to figure that out, almost a year and a half to even release our first product, because we were only building and then we were exposing it to the initial users, and then we were getting feedback that it's not working, so we have to go back again and build. So that part was very unknown but also exciting, because I think the world is going towards adapting this technology. You would be seeing that in China. A lot of people are using now AI to create very good content, not just comics but everywhere around. So I think we took a right call to pick up this difficult problem, because we joined in early. We are have an edge. We are a bit step ahead compared to other companies, and I think we can really leverage that.
When you set up the company, how do you persuade those geniuses to join your team?
Yeah, you have to really make an effort for somebody to join in, because you don't have money to pay them. So most of the people who are coming are taking a salary cut, and there are very few people who actually understand what you're talking about, because it's so new. I would say today it's still easier. 2 years back it was very, very new. So you find the first person, and I find the first person who joined me as a co-founder in the company, and then he tried to find more people in his network. It's a network effect. You hire the first person, then you get 2 more, and then you find, and it was very difficult for us to build the team. So we started doing some events like hackathons, where we would give away prize money for engineers who would build quick products. So we conducted a hackathon, and then we found some good talent, and then we offered them a job, because there is no other way to really find people to do that. So that is how we found our first engineers, through some hackathons. People who build good products in one day. We thought we'll hire them inside, and everybody was a very fresh talent. Most of the engineers were right out of college, not a lot of experience, but we optimized for intent and curiosity, that they really want to do it, and some basic knowledge. They need to understand computer vision and how basic stuff works, and that's enough. We're going to figure out together. So that's how we built the initial team.
Right, so when you found your co-founder, how do you know this person is the right guy for you?
He was absolutely the right guy, because
Right.
he's still with the company and he's leading all the efforts. It's very good if you find co-founder within your network. So the person I found, I already knew him actually since last 5 years. Not very closely, but I knew him. I knew this person, and he's doing this job, and he's a friend of my friend. So somehow I know his journey. Where was he born? Where he did his schooling? What kind of value system he comes from? Is he aspirational enough? Will he be able to handle the pressure of a startup? So all those things, I think, in a way I knew, and I saw the potential. I knew this guy is really smart and can do it. So it was more about convincing him selling him my vision and making him confident enough to join the team. And it took a while. It took me 3 months from my first meeting with him to take this seriously. And then he like kept on talking with me. He kept on trying something out on his own. And after 3 months, I mean, he felt comfortable. He thought like this vision is actually possible, and I'm kind of a person he can work with. After like doing so many meetings and Zoom calls, that's how I found him, and it worked out. But it is. I talked to actually 5-6 people who potentially I targeted for this thing. Yeah, I was lucky one of them worked out. Who was actually my number one choice, and he worked out itself. I mean, there is no formula. It's you spray and you pray, and you keep on trying till you find the right person. So that's what we did.
As you mentioned, you will include some juniors into the team.
Yeah.
I'm just curious because juniors, they have different thoughts. How do you manage them in the team?
People want to really get that satisfaction out of the work, and what you can do as a non-tech founder is keep them aligned to the larger vision. And I think there are different ways to reach there. If you try to interfere too much, there might be like 5 problems that you need to solve in next 3 months to reach there. Right? From your point of view, you want to solve the first problem, which is, for my example, it is like I want to get character consistency. Right, and that is the first problem I want to solve before solving the layout problem in the comics. Because even if I solve layout, it doesn't matter if the character is not consistent. Right now, these people would say, no, I want to tackle the second problem first because the direction my research is going. I want to solve layout first, and then I will come back to character consistency. So these kind of problems happen, and I have my way, my vision, and my understanding because I am more close to a creator and I understand what is the problem, whereas somebody in engineering is more close to AI research and he feels like this is a better way to go because this is a step-by-step journey. It comes to a mutual understanding. You have to understand and be very open-minded. Not always be very stern. This is approach and I am the CEO and this is how it's going to be done. You have to understand. If you're working with engineer, you have to appreciate and understand engineering. In whatever simplest term you can understand it. So this happens, and I agree, and it's still happening. I want something, but there are 2 or 3 ways to reach there and a different roadmap. And I think we always try to find a common ground, and we always keep on talking about the vision. And if your vision is large enough, I don't want to get something today and I don't want to make profit on the 3rd month. But when I make profit and when my product starts working, it's going to be crazy growth. And if everybody is aligned, we find a way to make it work.
Do you talk to your employees or team members privately, like one-to-one?
We are a small team, so most of the time we have catch-up meetings during the week, so we talk to them. But once in a while I also have a one-on-one because there are people who have like personal ambitions and personal problems at the same time. Because it's a small setup and we know everyone, I know every single person who is in the team. I try to do one-on-one as well, but not too frequently. And I don't do it very frequently because if you like become too friendly, then you lose the working relationship and you're like more like friends and the working relationship is over. It's a fine balance, I would say.
What made you decide on the webtoons and animation and short dramas?
So when I was in Pocket FM, there is one company, Naver in Korea, who invested in us. And then we went to Seoul to spend a month because Naver is like giant internet company and they have like so many products. And one of their product is Webtoons. And we started exploring it, and I didn't knew honestly that Webtoon is such a big thing in Korea. I knew Japanese manga is huge, but I believed it's more of a cultural phenomenon in Japan, and it started at a point and they have like such great content in manga that it's like so famous everywhere else in the world. But I was surprised to see Webtoons because this Korean creative community actually turned this into a very mobile friendly format. And there is a huge ecosystem and such good quality content that is coming out of it. And then I saw like already there is this company called Kwaikan in China who has also done it in China. And then I thought, okay, this looks like a good market, but we should also do Webtoons. and that was inside Pocket FM. And when I like delved deeper, like to understand how can we start a Webtoon company, I realized you need like so many artists and so much of ecosystem, because it's not you find somebody and you can start making comics. People really learn it at early age, and it takes a lot of time to develop an ecosystem. So you cannot start this company like suddenly. So this idea came to my mind, and then I dropped it because I thought it's like impossible like to build a like very fast growth startup in it. And then AI happened, and I had a moment in 2022 when OpenAI released their DALI 2 model. I got an access and I typed the first thing, and an image was generated. And then I typed make this person smile, and it smiled. And I thought, okay, AI is going somewhere, and this image problem could be solved. So I thought it was a point where it was looking possible to make comics with AI, because like people were making images from text. So yeah, I had only this much information, and I decided let us attempt to build this company. Like this is enough. I know like people read Webtoon. Maybe if you build this company, people will read comics in India, in US, in Europe, everywhere else. So let's start building this and see what happens. So that's the reason. I knew about comics. I realized that AI has a potential to like make comics, marry them both together and start this company. And let's see where it goes.
So do Indians watch those like Dashtoons?
Webtoons are not very big in India,
Right.
but traditionally comic was quite big in India. In US, Webtoons are decently big industry, and there are a lot of products, a lot of Korean, a lot of Chinese, and manga. Japanese manga is also like very big in US. So we launched Dashtoon in the US as the first market, because it already had an audience compared to India, and yeah, right now it is very US specific. But once it starts working more, we are going to bring it to India and like other places in the world.
How do you promote your app in US? Because
Yeah.
you were set up in US, but maybe you got your team from India.
Yeah.
How do you get the culture difference?
These days, getting your first few users on any app is not so difficult. I think a lot of people understand performance marketing, or I don't know what you call it in China, but we call it like performance marketing, where you put your ads on Google network and like Facebook and get those download through ad campaigns. So that is how you get your first user. Once you get your first users and you get them at the right cost, you have to figure out like how to repeat this playbook, and also have a factor where like people recommend this product to the friends, and that can only happen if they like content. So we started with ad marketing, performance marketing, and we spent some money, we got some users, and then we started figuring out after that. Most of the time when you do this, your cost keeps on increasing every time. Good part about Dashtoon was that there were a lot of comics, right? Because with AI you can make very fast and a lot of stuff. So as soon as your one content stops performing, you start marketing the next one, but keep on getting users until you reach a point where there is a lot of organic traction on your product. So it's a journey in itself. You can do performance marketing from anywhere, honestly. So my team, which is in Dashtoon, had an experience of doing marketing in the US. You would see this like a lot of Chinese products are also famous in US, and initially people don't have team in the US. They will have team in China or Singapore or somewhere, right? And figure out US market, get the early users, understand the traction, and then when you see like your product is working, then you can maybe like hire the team locally, because when you want to scale, you want a lot of like local context also. You want to understand your customer more deeply when you really have to scale, and then maybe you need like a local team as well, and you want to hire some resources in the country. But initially I think you can do it remotely.
Can I ask what's the acquisition rate for each person to download this app in the beginning?
Yeah, so we look at two metrics when we are doing ad marketing. One is what is my cost per install, and the second metric is what is my cost per subscriber, like the user who is paying for the app. So in the US, my cost per install varies from $2 to like $10 per user, and my cost per subscriber is also very strong, $25 to $50. So if you take the extreme, like it is $50, then to like make my acquisition profitable, I want to make like $50 from every users that is like becoming a subscriber on my app, and that means they need to consume content for at least 2 to 3 months. So that is a minimum retention period you want people to stay on your app.
That's the monthly subscription fee.
So it's also got like micro payments, so where like you pay per episode, but it's also got subscription. So it's a mixed model these days with most of the apps. It depends, I mean, what suits which customer.
A lot of Chinese apps, they
Yeah.
spend a lot of money on ads promotion, and I see this business as heavily based on ad promotion.
Yeah.
What do you think of it?
I feel short drama as a format has found a lot of validation in Chinese market, in US market, even in Europe a bit. Now the business models will evolve. Right now it is very heavy ad promotion. The company which has like largest like chest of money will become number one, because your revenue is directly dependent on how much money are you able to spend right away. But also the churn is very high for the users. It's so expensive to consume these short dramas. People consume short dramas but then go away because they cannot spend so much money continuously. So it doesn't become a mainstream format unless you really subsidize consumption. Now what you see in China with ByteDance and Hongo, they have already tried to subsidize it for the larger masses. What happens with that is a lot more people adopt it and start using it at a high frequency. So I think there is a slight maturity curve which is happening in China, which might look weak in a short term. There's a free app, and what a lot of people will do, like they're producing content and like not making maybe enough money. But I think eventually this will lead to win-win for everybody, and that is my belief. It's 2 to 3 years into this category. US roughly 2 years. All these apps like Real Short or Drama Box or like other good apps as well, Serial Plus, and right now they are spending a lot of money. Maybe they are not even making a profit, and they are churning a lot of users. But I think they will move to the next level, and business models are going to evolve going forward. So what's happening today might not be happening by next year in terms of business model.
How do you see this evolution? What would they do?
You have to fight the biggest product in the market, and you are in an entertainment space. So if I look at international market, what are the two biggest products? It's either YouTube or it's Netflix. So your business model have to be closer to one, which is a proven business model. So either you go on a very platform approach and become something closer to YouTube, where you have like ad-based monetization, but also it is free. But then you have like so much of content. A user that comes never leaves your product, because on ad-based monetization, users have to consume a lot for you to make money. And other way around is Netflix, where you make the content which is like so good, like not just in stories or production quality, that people at scale want to subscribe to your product and also don't churn out. Like Netflix will have a very high like month 12 retention rate. So even if people are not watching a few months in between, they still continue subscription because they keep on coming back. So I think these are two obvious ways to go in a direction. Because it's a new format, there might be something in middle. What I think is like there's so many people, so many apps, so many companies trying so much, and it's very early to predict what's going to happen. Only thing you can say very confidently is that the format has got acceptance in terms of users, not just in one country but globally. And I think it's going to evolve, and it's here to stay for a long time.
You mean the business model is gonna evolve?
It's going to evolve because a lot of users are going through adoption curve, and this happened with short videos as well. I mean, before TikTok, like they acquired this global product called Musical.ly. Like, it was not that big. ByteDance figured out some playbook in China with Douyin. Right? They figured out what kind of content people really like, and then they try to replicate it. And now YouTube also does shorts, Instagram also does reels, and Quashao does shorts, and there are Indian products like Moj who are doing shorts. Business models evolved, the kind of content also matured, and it became better and better. and especially the algorithms, like recommendation becomes so better. In short drama, I mean, it's early days of algorithm. You're making today 60 days episodes, maybe tomorrow people start making 15 or 20 episode show, or they could make like 200 episode show, and what impact will it have on users? You don't know that because you have to do it.
We have already tried 35 to 40 episodes, but it didn't bring much profits. So that's why people still produce 60 episodes. Before that, we were producing 100 to 120 episodes.
But that's also because of your business model, because you have to sell that at a certain price point. Let us say the business model changes, and it's no more about like making money from the episodes, but it's like getting to like maximum number of users. So maybe even 30 episodes starts making sense. So we don't know. I mean, it's very early days. I think this format is going to stay, and people will keep on trying new things. We are going to try new things, and see. With AI, let us assume the cost of production goes like really low, and it's just about good stories. And let us say a consumer who is coming doesn't want to watch a new show. They want to watch a new episode of the same show. And like it happens in all the novel apps, like people consume same novel for so many months. And let us say you have an ability to produce 1 or 2 episodes on a daily basis, right? The business model would change if that is possible. Right? People are opening the app and consuming the same content every day, like a new episode which is coming every day. It's like a daily soap. And how does it change the behavior? Like, does it improve retention so much? People are still subscribing, so they are not consuming so much, but subscribing because of few new episodes. So I think there's a lot of possibilities. It can go any direction. It's too early to say that the industry has matured. It has just gotten out of China. It is just entering India. You know what innovation Indians might do with the format, right? And how do they do it differently? And then you learn something which you try to adapt in other geographies as well. So that is my belief. I think one thing that we can accept today is that this format is going to stay. It's not a short-term thing. It's not a one-time phenomena. It's going to stay for long, and it is going to fundamentally change the way people consume serialized entertainment on internet.
So why do you think short drama is popular globally?
I think it's very structurally it is so exciting for people to watch it because of how everything is done. I mean, in 1.5 hours you could consume an entire series. The episodes are constructed so well. Like, writers have really nailed it to the last point. How do you like give out maximum in such short amount of time? And most importantly, I think initial traction was because this kind of content, people were not making so much of video content of these kind of genres. They were available in text, in audio as well because of Himalaya in China, but not so much in video. Video series were something different, and there was a huge latent demand of this kind of drama content, which is like bite-sized to come. So I think everything happened in a way it looks like automatically. Even globally, this kind of content was new. So you look at what kind of content people consume in US, like where short drama works. So I think all these factors, like the novelty, the kind of content which can be produced because of low budget, and it also gives you ROI. So like people are producing it, and I think a lot of innovation is going to happen on short drama. And when short drama, especially, it is going out of China, like other countries will try to bring in their genres into it and produce something different. So yeah, I think this format works because of episode construction and the entire length of the show. But like there is so much possibility in terms of genres that can be done in this, which have not been done yet. I mean, it's not just drama. I mean, it could be like thriller, it could be suspense, it could be detective stories, it could be real life stories. You don't know what all could be done over there.
You've actually licensed like 150 titles already.
Yeah.
What's your criteria of choosing those stories?
At the moment, we are restricted by what is available. So what we are trying to see is what Indian audience would like to watch. But we don't have a lot of choice because when we license, we could license what is produced. So our libraries are very dependent on what is produced in China or in Thailand. Maybe recently they started shooting some shows in Indonesia and then in US. But if you look at like short drama as a whole, even US, most of things are based on stories that originated from China in this industry. So we are licensing around that. We are trying to find a correlation as much as possible, and that is the first step for a library. Once we start getting more Indian users, we'll understand like what is working, what is not working, and adapt our strategy. And also go for some like production in India as well, which is like different from like dramas that exist in China.
In the first stage, you license some Chinese dramas and
Yeah.
you show to your audience and collect data.
Yeah.
How do you get feedback from them?
The feedback is actually good, and I think what we are seeing right now initially is adoption curve of the format. Not like so much on drama, but they just like this new format. Okay, I mean this is new for like most of the people in India. They've not seen this kind of entertainment where you have like episodic series. So yeah, some people like it. Chinese stories are created so strategically. Like I was talking about like how you construct episodes, and it's done so well. Is there a preference of a genre right now? I've not seen very clearly that there is a preference for one thing or the other. Like because I think it's very early days. We have seen like all good content is actually working here. But by the end of this year, when we scale, we'll start seeing a difference. Like certain kind of content, maybe romantic dramas are working more, or like fantasy dramas are working more. So something can happen. But still very early to say anything about it.
What's your main purpose of visiting China?
My main purpose of visiting China is to get up to speed what has happened in short drama. It's a new territory for me. I think China has already moved a lot of phases. So I want to catch up quickly, and I want to start where the industry is today, not from the beginning. So just to understand. So thanks to you, we saw how the production is happening, and certainly it is very evolved, very fine-tuned, very effective. We also want to get some good content, good short dramas from China. So we are here for licensing. We are also evaluating technology partnership. A lot of good work is happening in China around AI. So we are meeting people who are working in this direction to make like good AI videos. So it's a very large agenda. But in the order of magnitude, I would say it's licensing, it's AI, and then it's understanding the production process.
In your experience, what challenges you face during the licensing with Chinese like platforms or copyright holders?
It is very difficult to find the right person who owns the copyright, because there's also a lot of noise in the market. And a lot of people will say I represent APC and I have the ownership, but they might not have it. So like finding the right partners to license, and then price discovery. Sometimes it is priced too high. For startups like us to invest like so much money, if it is like equal to like shooting the content ourselves, why would we license, right? We will just shoot it ourselves. So it has to come at a price where it is feasible for business to license. So yeah, sometimes price discovery is a challenge. My last challenge is that one content might be a very S category in China, but like for India it might not be X category. So for me to understand, like for me which is a better content, because like some genres might be really good in China, some content might work really well over here but might not work so well. So I might end up like overpaying or like not getting the right library. I mean, figuring out what is the right content for the audience I'm catering to.
Your education background is engineering. Dashtoon combined with technology and creativity. How do you think where the opportunities are in the future and why?
I have a very strong belief. I think every content company will also be a technology company. We have seen that in the past. We have not seen too much technology in production. It has been quite standard for a lot of time. But you see, like every content company has to like game the recommendation, game the ads marketing platform, like how to sell content. So in a way, it becomes a company which is like trying to beat technology and like put it on its own. What will happen is every company will also start leveraging technology in production. And CGI and VFX were slightly expensive, but like I see a lot of your shows in urban fantasy which use like all those elements, and people will use more and more of AI. So I think every content company will be a technology company. Right now we might look like the one who is new and trying to do something different, but eventually I think everybody is going to start doing that. We just want to be a leader in that space. So that's how I look at technology. I think it's a big enabler, and it might look as a differentiator today, but not for long. Everybody's going to use and appreciate and leverage it to make like good content.
Or do you think AI, this technology, gonna change maybe the film production? It's gonna burn a lot of money. It's gonna change the whole CGI industry.
I think 100% it is going to change it, because a lot of good content, people are not able to make those stories because of the cost of production. But I think AI will be a huge leveler in that case. Like, people with good stories, good understanding of content, will not be bound by the budget to make those stories, especially like fantasy stories or sci-fi content. So I think it's a matter of time. They will certainly change that for sure.
Wow, that means a lot of people will lose their jobs.
I don't think so. I think whenever technology has come into anything, it has expanded the industry. People don't lose their job because short drama came in. I think what happened with short drama is that the consumption expanded. A lot more people started getting jobs because of that. So I don't think people will lose their job.
After visiting China for like 5 days already, right? What do you get from China? What's your expectation before? What kind of things you learned?
Yeah, I came here to understand the industry. Short drama is the biggest cultural export out of China. So I wanted to see how it started, where is it going, and what does the maturity phase look like. Which was interesting for me because in China I saw that the industry has become pretty big. There are a lot of platforms, some big platforms, and also I got to understand that teams here are really good at marketing and acquiring users on their multiple platforms at multiple pricing, segregating the users in terms of like premium users, non-premium users. So I think I learned a lot. I could see where the short drama would be going in India after a couple of years and might follow the China trajectory. So that's very helpful.
Do you think like India's trend is going to follow exactly like Chinese?
Not really, but what I agree is because right now India doesn't have a ecosystem to create short dramas, especially produce. And China is creating what I don't even know the number because it's so tough to estimate. But so many short dramas are produced every month. A lot of people are also making profit doing that. So I think India will have a very robust ecosystem where a lot of content providers are actually producing short dramas and working with platforms closely to distribute their content. So I think that is going to happen in India. I also believe like India will move very fast in terms of adopting the format and might also find audience globally for Indian short dramas.
I mean, there will be locally produced Indian short dramas.
Yes.
And they were going to like distribute overseas as well.
Yes. Because that is what I learned from China. Earlier it was domestic market. Now we also have international market and like everywhere in the world. So I think that's a very big opportunity for everyone to adopt this format.
Is any difference like from your expectation and what you see in China?
I honestly expected less. I thought short drama is still new. Even it's roughly 3 years, and I think 2 years of international apps from China. So I thought the industry will still be moving around, figuring out their business models or things to do. But I believe the industry is very evolved. Everybody understands the ROI calculations. Everybody understands how much money they need to invest, how they want to invest, what kind of content they would like to make. Something more, if you ask me, that I expected was more experimentation on the content genre side, more bold steps to try new things out. Which I think is still lacking because most of the people are producing very formula content. So I think that is missing. I expected some crazy ideas and different kind of short dramas also happening right there, which I couldn't find. Maybe it is happening, but I couldn't find it.
Genres we haven't explored yet. Maybe somebody already explored that genre and didn't become a hit, so that's why you don't see them.
I agree, and I don't know what has happened or what were the failures. That's something I need to spend more time looking at all the past dramas and understanding what all has been tried.
Kind of genre will for Indian people?
Indian people initially can consume similar kind of content, but I think in India I have to draw parallel from movies or OTT or like television. So Indians like a breadth of content. Relationship dramas is one thing, and a subset of audience will like it. But crime dramas are also very big in India. The police and cop universe is very big in India, also like mafia and like criminals. So people like watching those stories from India. So those kind of content doesn't exist, but when people in India start producing themselves, they might want to explore these kind of genres.
Is it possible there was like dancing dramas?
Musicals, yeah. Indian movies, all of them in a way are musical. Now, how do you fit music in a 2 minute or a 1.5 minute episodes? It's not so clear, but I'm sure audience love music between. So they will have maybe like smaller soundtracks, like 20 seconds or 30 seconds. So I think that is definitely going to happen very soon. They will have a lot of music.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be exciting for the international market as well.
Have you ever contacted any apps from other countries, like Korean apps? And what do you see from them?
I have seen Korean apps. There is one app called Wiglu, which is doing good. And I see in Korean short dramas, there is kind of a hint of K dramas that already exist. So their storytelling is a bit different. So it's like somewhere in between. Like Chinese short dramas are very high paced dramas, but Korean are slightly slower dramas, and they try to like make more like in-depth stories, and even the way it happens in K-dramas, like too much of emotions and like extreme kind of like hitting your nerves. So they are trying to attempt that, whatever I've seen now, but it's confusing right now. It's not very like, it doesn't go with the format so well, but they're trying to do that. So maybe me as a person is not consuming or don't like it so much, but maybe like there is a consumer base for that kind of content. We still have to see how the Korean content evolves.
So do you know QB? It's actually a short drama app.
Yeah.
Before pandemic, I think.
Yes, I know about them. I've read so much about them. In fact, when I first read about QB, I was very excited because that looked like an obvious thing to do. But timing is everything, and even if you're at the right time, I think execution. So my read about their failure is that they tried to do too many things all at once, and that is you work with the best actors, try to give the best content out there, like trying to match the quality of HBO and Netflix right away, a new format. And also I think they were trying to shoot it both vertical and horizontal, and they were like trying to get dates from like the best directors in the market. So many variables in a new format, I think didn't make it work. And why I feel China has worked is because it came bottoms up, right? It was small teams and small creators who tried to understand the format, and slowly the quality is going up step by step. But QB was very top down, trying to perfect in a single go by a single company, which I think did not work so well.
Well, but my opinion, because there's some guys from like traditional industry, from films, from TV series, come to short dramas, they have their own mindset.
Yeah.
And when they shoot short dramas, mostly like first or second short dramas, they're totally a failure. That's why I think QB is failed, because they have their own mindset, like moving picture mindset.
I agree. I mean, you have to incorporate like a very new format and very fresh. This is what people need. You have to think from consumers, what do people need? And this is what I will deliver to them. Not that I want to deliver something people need it or not. So I totally agree with you.